Welcome to WP Means Business Bite-Sized webinars. Today we're going to look at installing Google Analytics, and in the second part we'll look at some basic understanding what's actually going on with your visitors so you can do something useful with this data. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a plugin on your site. This is typically the plugin that I would use. It's one called Google Analytics for WordPress by Joost de Valk. I think his name is actually Dutch. Quite often, sometimes you see it with a Y and a Y-O-A-S-T as it is down the bottom here. So you should be able to find that by searching when you add in plugins. If you don't know how to add plugins, there is a little help video on installing plugins on wpmeansbusiness.com. It's in the right-hand sidebar a little bit further down. So we're going to use this plugin to add the required little bit of code that Google needs in order to track your visitors. But before we do that, we're going to actually sign up on Google Analytics in case you hadn't already done it before. I'm going to try doing it live with a completely new account, and hopefully it'll all go through okay. So this is a bit like Blue Peter demonstrations. You never know whether it's going to work or not. So you need to have a Google account. If you haven't got one already, it will take you through the process of actually creating one. So we got through the first hurdle of me actually remembering my password. It's just telling you basically the steps. You need to sign up, you need to add some tracking code, and then you get the joys of finding out what's going on. So we're going to sign up. So we're going to put in my little test website, which is demo.co.uk. Oh, actually, that's a name that's trying to give it. So if you have more than one site, then you would give them names that actually make sense. I'm just going to put this one in. It's technology. You need to put your time zone in, and in this case we're creating a new account. Okay, so I'm just going to put something related to your business ID in there. Sign your life away. Right, and then you'll get to a page like this. Now this is the most important bit, that you actually have a tracking code. Now I'm going to go back to the website. That little bit of code is the thing that little code there is the bit that's most important. So we're going to go back to the site. When you connect with this particular plugin, it will try and be quite clever for you. It will try and connect. I'm going to activate it, and you'll see what happens. We basically need to tell it the details from Google Analytics, which is what I've just done there. You can either enter the code manually, which is that little code that we just put in. Oops, so lazy. It's that little code there. Or if you really want to, you can click on the little button here and hope that it works. That will go through and just give it permission to get access to your accounts. And then it doesn't seem to want to work. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So just cutting and pasting that little code will work quite happily. Now, the only things you really need to change on here, I'm just going to tick the show advanced settings. Don't let that scare you. There's some things you may wish to do. You may wish to follow what happens to particular authors, if you've got multiple authors on your sites, or particularly if you're tagged pages. You can track later on in the analytics when you're looking at the reports. You can track the people visiting particular tags or particular categories. So you can get a bit more of an insight, but there is lots that you can do without ticking any of those. So I'm going to ignore that. The change you do want to make is you probably just want to change this one here to subscribers, so that basically will only record data for people who are not logged into your site. So when you're logged in, it won't track what you're doing, which is obviously not as interesting. Most of the rest of it we can leave alone. Just so we can make sure it hasn't changed. That's the only change that I suggest that you make in this unless you want to change any of these settings here. So let's go back here down to the bottom and then just update it. Okay, so that's actually got your site up and running, collecting Google data. You should be able to then just save this away, and we should get a change in status. So at the moment this is not tracked. It's not going to say anything. Let's have a little look. There we are. So now I've just changed back again. It says tracking installed. So that means it's all working. So that's really as simple as it gets, to install Google Analytics.